the end, what matters is how you score in your exams. You might have learned everything during the class, studying at home, reading your textbooks, but if you cannot write well in the exams, then all is for nothing. There are many proponents who want to abolish exams. In fact, there are many education institutions that have done away with exams and instead graduate their students through assignments. In this section, I don't want to debate on the merits or the demerits of the exams. I just accept that they exist and we have to adapt to this reality. Having worked as a trainer, consultant, motivator, counselor, what I've realized is every time I'm faced with a crowd of people or a single person seeking advice, it's always an exam. What I do know is we have to give exams at every point of our lives. The problem with our educational system so far is that we are not being honest with the students. We teach them the syllabus and expect them to learn, but we do not teach them how to write in the exams. Some people might think that including skills to excel in exams in the syllabus might be ridiculous, if not cheating, but it is common sense. To understand, let's use a metaphor. When you are learning to win a basketball match, you have to learn a lot of things like catching the ball, passing the ball, scoring the ball, making a defense, attacking, and so on, as well as the rules of the game. It would be nice to know the history of the game, but shouldn't we teach this student of basketball actually how to win the game by coaching him in the court? When it comes to sport, this question itself is redundant. Of course, we have to teach the players how to win. We have to teach them how to make formations, how to develop their strategies. We have to teach them that there will be opponents when they are playing the game. We have to simulate various scenarios that the opponents will put them in. The more coaching the players get on the strategy for the game, the higher the chances of succeeding and winning. However, when it comes to studies, it's less obvious. That said, most of the toppers are coached by their tutors on exam strategies. It's only the non toppers that are somehow deprived of the secrets of the knowledge of exams. So, my point is let's make it a fair game. Let's divulge this knowledge to everybody, not just a few. As I mentioned earlier, this book is not about how to score more marks in your exam. So, I will not be able to do full justice on this topic of exams because if I did, it would be a full length book. However, this section is both for the students and the teachers and the syllabus makers to help them get the general principle on how to write in the exams. The most important thing about writing exams can be understood by using another metaphor. Let's say you are a cook or chef in a restaurant. You spend hours in cooking that meal. You expect to get a five-star rating, but is that enough that you worked very hard on that dish? Certainly not. We all have been a customer also. Let's say that you get that dish, but the presentation is so poor and dirty, messy. Would it matter to you whether the cook had spent hours preparing this meal? Certainly not. In another scenario, imagine that you were expecting Indian food but you were served Japanese food, would you be happy and give the cook a 5-star rating? Certainly not. Now, bridging that restaurant with studies, the chef is the student and the customer is the person who is going to check the exam paper. Many students have got the false understanding that the way they'll get 5-star rating is by studying very hard. But as I have explained earlier, there is actually very little relationship between your hard work and high scores unless you are able to present whatever you wanted to write in a neat, clean, organized manner on your exam paper. Also, you might have understood the syllabus very well, but if you do not use the terminology from the books you were given, then the examiner cannot give you the full marks. It's like he's being given Japanese dish when he was asking for an Indian dish. So besides teaching the students the particular subjects and topics, the syllabus, if not the teacher themselves, must include several credit hours dedicated purely to how to write in exams. That would include the principles that I have just outlined earlier on. It must be engraved like in stone in the minds of the students that exams are about making an impression on the person examining the exam paper. This examiner is not going to learn anything from your exam paper. What he is doing is a kind of inventory check. He's just checking whether the correct answer was ticked or whether the terms, notations, processes, and answers were written. Again, he doesn't make them up for every question answered. Every teacher is given a standard answer against which he has to evaluate your answer paper. Some people call it the marking scheme, and mostly it is based on the syllabus and the textbooks that you are given. Mind you, the examiner would have lots of answer papers to check within a certain limited time frame. So you want to make it as comfortable as possible for him to read your answer paper. Again, he's not reading to enjoy what you have written and to learn something from it. No, instead, he is reading to check whether it measures up against the marking scheme that he has been given. Then he has to make a judgment call on how much deviation there is from that marking scheme. You have to acknowledge that even the examiner has a potential threat that his rating will be challenged someday by an external party in case there is a complaint. So he will rate your paper in such a way that he can defend his position in such an eventuality. The only way to do that is to stick with the marking scheme. There is so much more in the art of exam taking. Frankly, I'm not fond of exams. And as I've shared to you earlier on, I did not like the educational system, so I didn't continue further my education after my bachelor's degree. However, I know that there are some experts in exams. They would know even more than me. Even you teachers who are reading this book know much more about me than exams because it's not only your bread and butter, it's the staple food that you have grown up with. So I suggest that you package whatever you have learned about exams and teach it to your students. To the teachers, I want to tell you that you should be like a basketball coach or a football coach. The game is the exams. Just watch them write the exams in front of you and give them feedback as they write. Isn't it how sports is being coached. You should have practice or mock exams. Check out when the students get nervous, whether they read the questions before they start writing. Check out whether they attempt the questions chronologically or strategically. See if they allow themselves time to revise the questions they have answered. See if they spend some time editing and polishing their answers. Somebody's got to do that. And without putting in the effort of coaching for exams, how do you expect your students to do well in the exams and honor your name? It's surprising and unbelievable that intelligent people like teachers don't even know this much. But I know why. Don't take it as an insult. But to be a teacher, you need to have a very strong skill brain quadrant. Consequently, most teachers have a very weak wisdom brain quadrant, which is diagrammatically opposite. Consequently, you are not able to see the parallel between sports coaching and exam coaching. Even myself, not being an expert in exams, I have so much to share and tell. I'm sure that you have even more. As students, if you are reading this section, all I want you to do is ask your teacher to coach you for the actual process of giving exams. Most of the principles I've already outlined. All you need now is a coach. Next, I will be just giving some general principles for the various types of questions that come in the exams. Again, my exposition is in no way exhaustive. It is just a hint towards solving the biggest problem of academia, which is of having low pass rates and not enough A pluses. Multiple choice questions or MCQs are the easiest for the teachers to check. Since many decades they have been checked by computers. Again, I don't want to talk about the merits and demerits of objective questions. They just serve a purpose and not all purposes. One of the best ways to answer objective questions is through the elimination process. Among the various options provided, which ones are the most unlikely? You can do some mental logical exercise, or you can write it down so as to derive the nearest correct answer then. So this technique serves the best when you don't know the answer right away. There might be many other ways for answering MCQs. Again, I will accept my inadequacy in this department, but I want to invite you to explore more techniques before you actually sit in the exams. Practice the various techniques of the sport before the actual finals. When it comes to subjective questions, the most important thing is to actually read the question and try to understand it before attempting it. If you can, I suggest that you visualize the question. Each question will have two parts. The first part will give you the scenario or the setting or the situation. It will provide you with some information. Thereafter, it will state the problem, which usually involves a task to do, like defining, stating, explaining, describing, drawing, deriving, listing, differentiating, comparing, analyzing, concluding. So it's a time for you to test your skills and the ability for you to memorize and recite the various data that you have been provided earlier in the classes. Make sure that you write in the words of the book. Make sure that you do not miss the keywords. As I told you earlier on, you just got to make it easier for the examiner to be able to locate what he's looking for. Where possible, underline the keywords. Make use of paragraphs so as to help the examiner do his job. Basically, make sure that you give the examiner what he wants In the spirit of the restaurant analogy, if he is seeking for Indian food, don't give him Japanese food. In mathematical problems and physics, numericals, as well as chemical balancing, repeat the same technique that I taught you earlier in the subjective class of visualizing the question. Don't jump directly into answering. Ask yourself from which chapter this question is from. Once you know the parameters that are given or known, make sure you understand what are the unknowns. Now, numericals are so simple. It's just the missing link between the unknown parameters and the known parameters. That link usually is a formula or a theory or a logical process. It would be a very good practice if you tried out those numericals before the exams, so you would be aware of the various formulas that would be needed to act as the missing link. When you are answering the numericals, make sure to be very clear on each steps. Don't jump the steps because you'll be confused by yourself. Do not rush so as not to make careless mistakes. If you get a number wrong in step 2, by the time you reach step 10, the answer will be awfully wrong, even though you have the right formula and process. Before you move on to the next problem, just revise your answer and see if you have understood the problem correctly. Thereafter, go step by step to make sure that you do not make any careless mistakes. Finally, there are essays to be written. You should have been taught earlier, I'm sure, but if you haven't, just be sure that your essay should contain an introduction, a middle part, and a conclusion. Instead of writing straight away and being lost in the middle, you should jot down the various points you want to include on a rough paper or on the answer paper itself. You can always cross it later on. In the essays, the teacher will try to be amused because there is nothing specific that he's looking for. So make your essay enjoyable to read. The false notion is that length only matters. It matters, but your essay must make a point. There must be a logic in it. It would be very nice if there were very few grammatical errors, because each mistake is like biting a stone in your food. Ouch. Like in the subjective questions, try to make use of paragraphs in order to make it easy for the examiner to understand the flow of your ideas. Each paragraph is an idea or a concept or a point. For the next idea, concept, or point, change the paragraph. Needless to say, make sure that your sentences are complete with a verb, a subject, and an object. There should be a full stop, and a new sentence must begin with a capital letter. If you can, add some subsections title. So in this way, I have tried to explain the students how to write in the exams, and the teachers on why to teach the students on this important topic of writing in exams. It's not a complete exposition, but I hope that I have inspired you enough to pursue further in how to write in exams.